Hello and welcome to my channel. This channel is dedicated to exposing Watchtower lies, deception and cover-ups. My name is Marcy and I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses for over 30 years. I served as a regular pioneer for 10 of those years. I was first contacted in the door-to-door ministry back in 1987 and I finally left the organisation in 2022. This video is about the silent exodus that is taking place in the Watchtower religion. And I've made a video before about why people are leaving. But 2025 has been a major shift in consciousness of many people, not just in the Watchtower Society. People are waking up to what is really going on in the world. They are looking at what happened in COVID and they are looking at what the governments are doing, especially in the United Kingdom, to do with immigration and the filling up of hotels and private houses with people from other lands, mostly young men, not women and children, that are supposedly fleeing. So people are waking up to this. There are channels popping up all over the place, exposing what's really going on. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the ex-Jehovah's Witness community, is also very active in this conscious shift and are helping wake up others who are in the Watchtower. Now, they might not see a lot of action, but there is definitely a silent exodus of Jehovah's Witnesses leaving. And between 2019 and 2025, thousands and thousands and thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses have abandoned the religious group in one way or another. Some of these witnesses have just resorted to being on the Zoom, and they don't even bother to put the camera on like I didn't, and they don't even put the sound on. It just records that they are there. But as for anything else, they're just not at the field service. They claim they may be writing letters, but I don't think that they are. And they have all but in name left the organisation. There are others who have walked away, having found out the things that I'm going to just mention, some of the things for themselves. And this is the age of information. With a click of the button, you can investigate, you can start to look at the history and the teachings of the society from days gone by. Going right back to Charles Taze Russell's day, you can find watchtowers, articles and links to find out answers to questions that you may have got. So this mass exodus that we are seeing is being seen right across the board, right around the world, and across all age groups. Young people are leaving in their droves from all areas of this organisation. They no longer want to accept what their parents are just teaching them. They want answers to the questions. They want to do what they preach to other people to do, to look at their own religion and see what's in the background. The Watchtower encourages Catholics and others they call on to examine their own religion And so many of Jehovah's Witnesses, especially the young, are very curious now, want to know the answers to the same questions that they're posing to others about their own religion. But it's not just the young people who are leaving. I woke up and left in 2022. And I was over the age of 60. I had spent over 30 years as a very zealous Jehovah's Witness. And I say that if I can wake up and find out what's gone on, so can others. I was so zealous I wouldn't have listened to anybody. And I would have done what the Watchtower asked me to do regarding disfellowshipping and other things. So you may have got relatives or others who are in the organisation and you think, I'll never wake up. But you never know. Because like I said, I was a zealous witness, a very active pioneer with several Bible studies, and I was very active in the congregation, well known, and I woke up and left very suddenly. And I feel that many people must be thinking to themselves, well, what on earth happened with Marseille? So, as I say, it's not just the young people who are going. Married couples and families are also on the move out of the Watchtower. And it's not just ordinary publishers. Excuse the pun, I'm not saying that they're just ordinary people, but it's not just the publishers who are walking away. Elders, circuit overseers, Bethelites and pioneers are joining the mass exodus. Many of them are starting TikTok videos and sharing what they've seen and what they know. Others are taking, like myself, to YouTube. Some have grown a huge following, and others, like myself, have got a niche following. But either way, we are providing information and support to those who are wanting to get out. But the thing is, I've just called this a silent exodus. And that is because the thing about it is, many Jehovah's Witnesses who are active in the organisation are totally unaware of what is taking place. The organisation has been very clever in covering it up and keeping things hidden from the rank and file. By selling off kingdom halls and amalgamating the congregations together that were in those kingdom halls, the Watchtower Society has been able to create an image of full kingdom halls, bursting to the seams. So when you talk to Jehovah's Witnesses, they say, well, our kingdom hall's packed to the rafters. And of course it is. But for it to become that way, 2 kingdom halls have had to be sold off. So they've been clever in keeping what is really going on in the Watchtower Society, that there are thousands of people who are inactive or have left. So another thing what the society is doing is giving false reports about the figures, as they've always done. They've always given false reports when it comes to figures. False reports about, in my day, how many were anointed were left. We used to have the yearbook, and in there it used to tell you how many anointed were left. And every year, this number went down. Well, You know, there's more anointed than ever, and the excuse is now, oh, well, there were people who shouldn't have been taking the emblems that were, you know, taking the emblems. However, you know, the numbers are going up, not down. And they don't even bother to publish how many anointed there is anymore. So also being falsely reported on is the number of people who are actually coming in and being baptised. Those books are being cooked as well. And if you actually look at the growth, you can go on ChatGPT and other sources. You can use the Watchtower's own publications to say that there is absolutely zero growth. There are people getting baptised, of course. They always will be. Young people pressured by the families to become baptised at a young age are still getting baptised. But the back door that we used to talk about, what are they doing about people that are going out the back door, is what we used to say. And that the answer is nothing. And they cannot stop this backdoor exodus. And this is what is taking place. And this is never mentioned by the society. It's always positive, positive, positive things. And they don't mention the fact that thousands and thousands are leaving the Watchtower, are just walking away, becoming faders. And never mind those who are actually being disfellowshipped or removed, as they like to call it nowadays. What about others who just disassociate themselves by writing to the society, giving the reasons why they're leaving? As they don't ever publish any of this, and the rank and file have no idea why people such as me, who were very zealous and active, have walked away and no longer want anything to do with that faith. By controlling the information witnesses are allowed to see or have access to, the Watchtower Society has been very successful in stopping its members from leaving. And that is now changing. The information is flooding out from all over the place. But for those who refuse to look, they have no idea about how the roots of the organisation. That Charles Taze Russell was into Spiritism, and he used pyramidology to calculate 1914 date. Of course, they managed to bring in 607 a bit later on, which has been proved to be a false date anyway. But Charles Taze Russell with the pyramids and measuring the pyramid of Giza, calling the pyramid the Bible in stone, and things like that. These witnesses have no idea. They have no idea about Beth Sarim, the big mansion built in America to house the ancient worthies: Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, and others. This house was a huge house built with a swimming pool and every luxury. The deeds to this house were put in the name of these ancient people. And they were expected to return around about 1925. When no ancient worthies showed up, Joseph Rutherford himself moved in and lived in complete luxury in that property. And when he passed off the scene, the house was quietly sold and the whole thing pushed down the line of things that were never mentioned or known about. A brother called Brother Salter wrote a letter to J.F. Rutherford. He was so disgusted with what he saw Rutherford doing, living in complete luxury, drinking alcohol in profusion. And he never went out on the ministry or did anything like that. That was left to the colporteurs or the rank and file to do, to struggle, to manage, to be worked to the bone. And he brought all this out in a letter that is available online. Of course, this brother was disfellowshipped for daring to point out the obvious, that he did not practice what he preached. They don't know, these witnesses, about the Mexico-Malawi fiasco, where the party political card was refused, told to be refused by the witnesses from Malawi, while at the same time the brothers in Mexico were told that they could bribe the officials and get a card. The society was quite happy for them to do so. And when the Mexican brothers found out what was happening in Malawi, that the brothers' houses were being torched, the women were being raped, as a result of refusing the party card, they wrote to the society. And thousands of people wrote to the society and said it's not right and a lot left. This was raised by governing body member Raymond Franz. And of course, he then was persecuted, a witch hunt was set against him. And eventually, he was disfellowshipped for eating a meal with his friend who was disfellowshipped. They don't know about the Irish brothers either, who also saw things going off in Ireland that they weren't happy with. And they wrote to the society, and several of them took a trip to Brooklyn to see the governing body. But the governing body refused to see the Irish brothers. So the brothers looked up Raymond Franz and went to visit him and the brother that he was disfellowshipped for having a meal with, and were made very welcome by their wives, who weren't disfellowshipped. And they learned all sorts of things from Raymond Franz himself about what went on in the governing body at meetings, that the Bible wasn't used. And it was all about rules and regulations to control people. When they returned back to Ireland, the brothers were contacted by the governing body, and they sent a representative to speak to them in Ireland as damage limitation. And of course, these brothers were disfellowshipped. There's a video that they'd made on YouTube. It's an old video, but they reveal all sorts of things about what they found out and how they were treated when they returned back to Ireland. So, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the rank and file, have no idea about the occult connection with Johannes Weber, that the Watchtower used him as an authority, a spiritist who was into the occult. And he produced a demon Bible on which the New World Translation is based. They have no idea that they joined the United Nations as an NGO. And when they were exposed by the Guardian newspaper, they quickly disassociated themselves that day or the day after. giving the excuse to witnesses who read the article that, oh yes, they did join, but they did it to use the UN library. Not content with their answer, the witnesses contacted the UN to find out if they needed to join the library. They needed to join the UN to use the library. And so many did that the UN posted an information notice on the UN website for Jehovah's Witnesses and others who were asking questions about the Watchtower's affiliation. The UN did make clear that nobody needs to join to use the library, but to join you do have to support the UN goals and ideals. You must agree with and support the UN and promote through your media outlet their goals and ideals. So Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea why there was a softening of the stance on the UN in recent years. It's no longer viewed or taught that it's the wild beast of Revelation and Satan's organisation. Instead, the Watchtower softly promotes their schemes for water in Africa and other things, and discusses these things in a very favourable light. Even now, the Watchtower is still part of the United Nations, and Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea. Even the ones who found out about the one in the 1990s. So another thing that they have no idea about is the demonic images in the publications. I've made a video to the Live Forever book and the demonic images that are in there. Christy Ann, who exposes a lot of the Watchtower, she's got a whole host of videos showing the demonic images in the Watchtower and lots of other books and publications. There can't be any doubt, because these things have gone on from the very early days of the Watchtower. And the Watchtower symbol itself comes from the tarot pack. So there can't be any doubt, that it's a one-off. This is ongoing, it's still going on even to this day. So other Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea that Jesus isn't their mediator. Even though the Bible teaches that he is, the Watchtower says, oh no, he's only the mediator for the 144,000. He's not your saviour. He's only their saviour. But many of them have absolutely no idea that that is the teaching of the society. Oh, what about Jeffrey Jackson lying under oath to the Australian Royal Commission? They have no idea that he put his hand on the New World Translation and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, then lied about what Jehovah's Witnesses are taught. He said that it wasn't a teaching of the Watchtower that the society is the only channel that God uses. But every Jehovah's Witness knows that that is the teaching. And they have no idea that he stood before a court of justice and lied to that court. Talking about the Australian Royal Commission, they have no idea of the investigation into CSA that goes on within the Watchtower Society, that children are abused, and that none of this is reported to the police. The Australian Royal Commission found over 1,000 reports hidden in Kingdom Halls about paedophiles and others that were operating within the organisation. And because they've been because of the two-witness rule that many witnesses don't know about either, none of these things had been ever investigated further, and they certainly had not been reported to the police or anyone else. They have no idea about Candice Conte and a $7 million payout. She was awarded $21 million against the Watchtower, and they took her to court and appealed against it, and it was reduced to $7 million. All paid out, of course, from the donations of the rank and file. They have never heard about the Cole Bethel investigation by British journalists when they looked into a secret database in Britain held in Kingdom Halls. And I knew about this because I was given a warning about a paedophile in my own congregation. I've made a video about that. I'll put the link to it if you've not seen it, about what happened and how I found out that they have a secret database or a record, and they keep this for years, but none of it is reported to the police. What about the fact that they all have major shares in armament producing companies, alcohol manufacturers and Big Pharma, operating under the Henrietta Riley Trust Fund, which is another secret name for the Watchtower Society? They have shares in warfare, tanks and guns. They have shares in Pfizer, AstraZeneca and other pharmaceutical companies. No wonder they were pushing the vaccines, because the shareholders were making a massive profit. So Watchtower Society has worked hard by having lots of different names to keep all these things hidden. In fact, I could stand here all day exposing things because the list is endless. And the rank and file are the ones who do find out about this, are the ones who are joining the silent exodus out of the society. Other things like the generational teaching, the beard policy, and flip-flopping Bible doctrines, failed prophecies, have got people disappearing from the congregations like has never been seen before. So many are questioning, but are still part of the organisation. So what is happening to the society? The society is morphing. It is changing. As Anthony Morris III said, we are not going to do that. We are not going to change our stance. We won't change our teachings on disfellowshipping or anything. And as fast as he's gone, because he's been accused of being a paedophile himself, and there is a court case pending for him, the Watchtower is in damage limitation mode. The Watchtower has long held control over everything that a Jehovah's Witness does. Watches, what he watches on TV, what he does in the bedroom with his wife or her husband, education for the children and themselves, what they can wear or not wear, whether they can have a beard or not, whether they can toast a drink, whether they should call disfellowship and not speak to their families. All these things, as well as a relentless schedule of reading, studying and attending meetings. All these things have burned out many, and that's why they're leaving. So what is the future for the Watchtower? The tower is on shaky ground indeed. And I think that the more that is exposed, the more bricks that are taken out, a mighty, mighty crash coming for the Watchtower and its members. So, those outside, having gone through a period of mourning, anger, hurt and pain, are finding a new life. Whether that's a religious life or not, they're finding a happier, healthier life outside. And I'm sure that God says amen to that. I want to thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please share, like and subscribe to my channel, and let's get this information out and help others to get away from this toxic and wicked organisation. And on that note, I am going to say bye.